What's up YouTube, I'm Mike, and today I'm back with another health update video, unfortunately, because it's necessary. If you've been following my channel for any length of time, then you know that I have been experimenting for the past year with a variety of different substances and doses. Everything was good, as you will well know, until I decided to try mint. And the mint sent my estrogen into the stratosphere, and I have been having trouble getting it back in line ever since. Or so I thought. The mint got a lot of blame on this channel for causing me a whole bunch of side effects that I'm still coping with now, that I'm no longer on the mint and haven't been on the mint in a very long time. Before I get into this, let me just clarify. I'm not making any statements of fact here because I can't know yet. I'm gonna know soon, but I can't know yet. I have some theories as to why my hormone profile is as fucked up as it is, and we're gonna go into those today. So, like 2 weeks ago, I had been dosing a Arimidex that I sourced from PCT 247. I had been taking 1 milligram of Arimidex per day, every single day, in order to get my estrogen from like 96 down to 20 something. It took quite a while of taking what I assumed to be 7 milligrams of Arimidex per week to get my testosterone level back to, my estrogen level back to normal. This was highly suspicious to me because prior to starting mint, and possibly, I'm gonna have to do some digging, I think at about the same time that I started mint, I started using this particular brand of Arimidex. I have not confirmed that yet. I know for a fact that I had a back stock of my pharma grade Arimidex that I get from my TRT company, Royal Medical Centers, and I had been using that for a long time. I started running out, and I realized that I was going to continue blasting 500 plus milligrams of testosterone per week, and that I needed more. And I ordered a substantial amount from PCT 247. I have had nothing but good results from the products that I have sourced from this company. And there's been quite a few. I've taken antibiotics, I've taken telmisartan, I've taken, cabergoline, a number of things. My wife uses their, what do you use? Bupropion? All with fantastic results. So I'm not making any factual claims yet. What seemed to be strange to me is that I have never in my lifetime on any dose of anabolics ever been able to tolerate more than 3.5 or 4 milligrams of Arimidex per week without crashing my estrogen into the toilet. I have crashed my estrogen into the absolute toilet, I think on 2 or 3 occasions, and I have blood work to back this up. So I knew that the mint was super potent, and so when I was having to take a large amount of Arimidex to keep it in line, I just thought I blamed the mint. I've had a lot of people throwing out all these ideas as to why I've been having so many estrogen problems. They're blaming the DECA, they blame this, they blame that. The reality is that prior to the mint and or this particular brand of Arimidex, I was totally stable running 500 milligrams of test and 200 milligrams of nandrolone, of DECA. I did not have any estrogen problems on those doses. And at that time, I was taking 3.5 to 4 milligrams of Arimidex per week, along with a healthy dose of cabergoline. And I was not crashing my prolactin, and I was not crashing my estrogen, and I was not having gyno, and I was not having any Brog-D gain. And then I got on the mint, and my estrogen went through the fucking roof, and then I had all this Brog-D gain problem. It's been a total disaster. Well, here's the catch. I got the mint completely out of my system, and like 2 weeks ago, my estrogen had come back down into the normal range. Since then, my D game has come fully back to life. We are back to making spicy content again. I just uploaded some last night. So everything in the D game arena is fully functional and operational again. But I have had residual gyno that I can't get rid of, and I was becoming yet again convinced that I had high prolactin. I have trotted out several ideas for why my prolactin was staying low. My prolactin was crashed by the cabergoline when I misdiagnosed my high E2. When I first started the mint, I thought I had all of the symptoms of high prolactin, and so I was megadosing cabergoline, and I knocked my prolactin completely out. It has now been almost 2 months or 3. I can't remember exactly how long. My prolactin was at 0.3. It came up to 1.1. Which was about 2 or 3 weeks ago, was at 1.1. Now it's up to 1.3. That's with me taking 140 milligrams of trenbolone acetate and 200 milligrams of nandrolone decanoate per week. My prolactin is still not coming up rapidly. I started blaming the Masteron. So I took my Masteron dose from 500 milligrams per week down to 300, thinking that it was blocking the release of prolactin. I cannot confirm or deny that yet. It hasn't been long enough to really know. I was hoping that I was going to see an exponential increase in prolactin to explain these gyno symptoms that I'm having. Unfortunately, I went and got blood work done today, and these are the results. So actually, it was Royal Medical Centers that sent me to get blood work, because the last time I had, they make you do blood work every like 6 months or so to stay in the TRT program, which is honestly kind of a joke because they don't really care, as evidenced by what I'm going through. And so they mandatorily ran the blood work. When it came back high, they said, okay, we want you to test again in like 6 weeks. So this is the second test. So they did a CBC with differential platelets. My blood work is perfectly good as far as my blood cell. My blood cells are perfectly in the green on every single test. Hemoglobin's good, hematocrit, everything. So we won't waste our time there. They do a non-sensitive testosterone test because they don't want to really know what your level is. They're just gonna go with that simple non-sensitive one, and it comes back greater than 1500 every time. I've done a sensitive one on 200 milligrams of test, and it's somewhere around like 1800 nanograms is about what I sit at, I think, at 200 milligrams of testosterone, plus 500 IUs of HCG twice a week. The problem here is that 2 weeks ago, when I was taking what I assumed to be 1 milligram of Arimidex per day, which is entirely too much, my estrogen had come back down into the sweet spot. It was back into the normal range at like 20 picograms. Well, I decided, okay, sweet, I've been bringing it down. I dropped my testosterone level, my testosterone dose back to 200 milligrams per week, which is what I was doing on TRT. And on 200 milligrams of testosterone C per week, I only require 1.5 milligrams of Arimidex. This has been tested multiple times through my testosterone replacement clinic and elsewhere. So 200 milligrams of test, I need 1.5 milligrams of Arimidex. That puts me right in the middle of the range. The only thing that I have in my system that is aromatizing right now, outside of the 200 milligrams of testosterone, is Deca at 200 milligrams. And so I dropped my Arimidex dose back to what I thought, based on the dosage of the box, was 0.5 milligrams per day. So 0.5 milligrams per day is about 3.5 milligrams per week, I think. Let's see, 0.5 times 7, 3.5. So I was taking 3.5 milligrams of Arimidex per week, I think, which should have crashed my estrogen. I do not believe that 200 milligrams of test requires 1.5 milligrams of Arimidex, and you add 200 milligrams of Deca, and all of a sudden you're just an estrogen-making machine. That doesn't make any sense at all. And so I thought at 3.5 milligrams of Arimidex per week, I was definitively going to crash my estrogen. In fact, there was a couple of nights when I was taking half a milligram every day that I started to think that I was noticing the signs that my estrogen was low. I had a lift last week where it was a chest day. I could not complete my workout. My elbows felt like they were going to explode. It felt like there was like rock salt or something, like every tendon, like my tendon was just covered in something that was shredding it every time I put any weight on the bar. I have not had elbows this painful, and I cannot remember when, since well before taking Deca. So I automatically started freaking out, thinking I must have crashed my estrogen. Now, I didn't really have any other signs of crashed estrogen. I was not having any problem communicating with my wife. My D game was totally functional. I was still getting a little sappy at songs. I'd been a little bit colder though, which of course was almost certainly caused by the Trenbolone. So I was confused. I didn't know what was going on. So I started dosing. I skipped a couple of days of 8X at 0.5 milligrams. So like I did half a milligram, skip a day, half a milligram, skip a day. My gyno came back. So I'm like, what the hell? I'm hoping that it's going to be prolactin. So I started back on what I think is half of a milligram of 8X per day. And I got my blood work pulled 2 days ago. And the result came back at 79.2 picograms per milliliter in a range of up to 42.6. So very nearly 2 times the top end of the reference range, when 2 weeks ago, it was dead smack in the center. 3 weeks ago max. So somehow, when I dropped from taking what I think is 1 milligram of Arimidex per day, which is entirely too much for me to be taking. If my body actually requires 1 milligram per week of Arimidex to control 200 milligrams of test and 200 milligrams of DECA, something is massively wrong. I don't know how anyone on earth could run DECA if it's this estrogenic. It would have to be the most estrogenic compound known to man, and I have never seen any evidence that is true. So my estrogen is 2 times the top end of the reference range again. It came up very rapidly over the course of the last couple of weeks. I was really suspicious last night. Despite having a little bit of sensitivity in my joints, I was struggling to keep composure in the gym while listening to St. Elmo's Fire. So here's your fucking sign. So my estrogen is at 79.2, and I went ahead separately from their lab, pulled my prolactin level because I wanted to know if, in fact, my prolactin had jumped up and that was what was causing the gyno. Unfortunately, my prolactin level came back again, still low at 1.3. So 2 or 3 weeks ago it was at 1.1. On 200 milligrams of DECA and 140 milligrams of Tren, it has only climbed 0.2 in the last 2 or 3 weeks. So this is casting a lot of doubt on my own personal theory that progestogenic compounds like 19-nor drugs cause a massive release of prolactin. We are not seeing that at all in this blood work, and I'm not taking anything that I'm aware of could possibly be blocking prolactin. Again, unless it's the Masteron, which, I mean 300 milligrams of Masteron is what I'm taking a week now. Admittedly, it's an E-ester. It takes a while to get out. So you could argue that if that was the causal factor, maybe it's still suppressing it some. But if it's suppressing it at this dose, then I shouldn't have been stable on the cabergoline dose. I'm starting to wonder if my prolactin has not been in the toilet for an extended period of time. Crash prolactin, low prolactin, is clearly not the causal factor in my broke D game, because right now my prolactin is low, my estrogen is high, and I am perfectly, fully physiologically functioning. Which does present one other possibility that we can't rule out. The only reason I'm not about to jump out the window and say this must be it is because of the gyno, but hang on with me for a second. Is it possible that the reason that a certain volume of Arimidex, say 3.5 milligrams, and a certain volume of cabergoline, say a quarter milligram every other day, was keeping me fully functional? Is it possible that I'm fully functional when that maybe all along I had high estrogen and low prolactin, and the low prolactin was offsetting the gyno and the high estrogen? So while I had a lot of symptoms of high estrogen, I had no gyno. And while my prolactin was low, my estrogen was high, so my D game was fully functional. That's the only thing I could possibly even remotely guess at. I'll have to go back through all of my labs and blood work and find out if and when I had my estrogen checked during the last year that I was blasting large amounts of 19-nor drug, blasting 19-nor drugs before the mint. I'll have to dig in and see if I have an estrogen level to confirm the doses that I was running. I know I don't have a prolactin test. So right now, my health metrics are really not, or they're really in a sorry state. I've got low prolactin, high estrogen again, and I went out for the first time and got my HbA, what's it called? I think it's HbA1c, hemoglobin A1c. My doctor buddy, I'm not gonna name any more names because this guy's coming to under fire for my accusations on this channel before, has been trying to convince me to get off sugar, that I ingest too many carbohydrates. I cannot make this logic make sense for the life of me. I do not understand the demonization of high carb diets. I will never understand it. Our bodies are fueled by carbohydrates. Our bodies are fueled by glucose. I don't understand why it is that I should be concerned about blood sugar, other than that I have been having hypoglycemia and blood sugar crashes. This, of course, is only ever a problem when I'm running Trenbolone, and it is an extreme problem right now running Tren Ace. I am having an incredibly difficult time controlling my blood sugar. I'm having multiple blood sugar crashes during the day, and I'm having to go well out of my way to try to control it. Then on top of that, you've got a high HbA1c at 5.9%. The accepted range is 4.8 to 5.6. The pre-diabetes range is 5.7 to 6.4. So really, I'm just barely into the pre-diabetic range. And honestly, it's not a tremendous shock to me, given the fact, admittedly, I did tell my buddy I was gonna be floored if it was high. And then in the Discord post, I was like, well, you know, I have been eating greater than 600 grams of carbs every single day for like the past year. So it does seem logical that if A1C is a measure of glucose over the last 2 to 3 months, and I'm eating, I wake up in the middle of the night twice and have a 250 calorie honey bun. So I'm basically ingesting carbs 24/7. I never go greater than maybe 4 hours at an absolute maximum without ingesting at least 30 grams of carbs. So if you've got a person who's living 24/7, never going greater than 4 hours without ingesting 30 to 50 grams of carbs, I mean, kind of makes sense that your average blood glucose would be higher than normal. My grandfather was actually diabetic. I have exactly zero fear of becoming diabetic. I don't know why that is. I just don't care. Maybe it's because it's like, you know, if they told me, hey, dude, if you keep driving your car, you know, over 60 miles an hour, it's going to lead to some health problem. It's like, well, I guess I'm going to have that health problem then, because I'm just not driving under 60 miles an hour on the fucking highway. It's never going to happen. I have a hard enough time staying under 100. I drive 60 miles an hour on surface streets. So when somebody tells me, hey, if you don't stop eating all this blood sugar, you're going to become a diabetic, it's like, okay, well, who gives a shit? So what's that mean? If I become a diabetic, that means that my body's not producing enough insulin. Well, right now it's producing way too much. If you ask me, compared to where I'm sitting with multiple catastrophic blood sugar crashes per day that leave me either homicidally angry or with a broke D or sweating and nearly convulsing on the floor or having to stop in the middle of trying to hang out with my kids or do something, you know, mow the yard or whatever, my blood sugar is crashing constantly, and you're threatening me that if I keep doing this, I'm going to have chronically high blood sugar? Oh, God, don't do that. It's like the old joke they used to say that when Christian missionaries told the Inuits living in Alaska that if they didn't believe in Christ, they were gonna be sentenced to a lake of fire for eternity. They were like, fucking bring it on. We're freezing our balls off up here. So threatening me with diabetes is just, it's not really scaring me because, oh no, then I'll have to use insulin, which is like super fucking anabolic. So let's not have that happen. You mean if I keep eating all of these carbs that I love instead of eating this god-awful keto diet that I have no desire to do, one day I might get to the point where I become dependent upon insulin? Oh, that sounds terrible. I mean, I'm injecting Tren Ace twice a day. I take GH, I take HCG. Like, I'm an absolute walking pincushion. What's a couple, more doses of long-acting insulin to throw into the mix? Seems to me that's like the ideal circumstance to be in. I'm controlling my testosterone levels, my estrogen levels, my neurochemicals, then I'll be controlling my blood sugar. I mean, it doesn't scare me. Maybe it should. Maybe there's somebody who's a diabetic in my audience that's going to get on here and tell me all the reasons that I should be terrified of diabetes. The other thing is, I just don't believe that my diet matters. And I know you're like, what? How can it not matter? My grandfather was a diabetic, but he was diabetic early in life. He ate a terrible, horrible, not diabetic safe diet and lived to be 95. 95! I don't need to live that long, guys. I have no desire to live that long. I'm about to turn 44 in less than a month. Okay? If I'm pre-diabetic now, how long is it going to take for me to get to be diabetic? And then how long is that going to take for it to actually be a problem if I'm already checking my blood sugar 10 times a day? I'm already doing all of the things that a diabetic person would do. I'm just doing it in the reverse. I'm checking my blood sugar, finding out that it's too low, and ingesting a bunch of carbs. Diabetics check their blood sugar, find out it's too high, and inject insulin. I don't see how this is any different than what I'm already living through. So at least with the high insulin, you don't have blood sugar crashes unless you overdose your insulin. So I just, maybe I'm a complete moron. I know that I am. I'm just not going to change my fucking diet. I'm just not doing it. I'm going to continue drinking all of my carb matrices. I've got Skittles right here. That's what I've been doing today. Sitting here playing video games, ingesting a bunch of sugar, trying to keep my blood sugar right. Here's your ASMR sip. I don't even know what a keto diet, I've tried to look at a keto diet. It's like, you can't have more than 50 grams of carbs per day? What? What the hell am I going to eat? What am I going to drink? I'll die. There's no way. I have a hard enough time maintaining body weight, ingesting 600 grams of carbs. Now I'm going to go to some diet that I have absolutely no desire to eat, and I'm dependent upon only protein and fat to get through the day. There's not a single thing that I like to eat. I mean, I like to eat some of it. I love to eat like brisket, and I like eggs and bacon and shit, but I don't want that all day, every day. I can consume carbs in the form of sugar all day, every day. What am I going to have on my bedside table at night to eat in the middle of the night if I can't have sugar? Like a few pieces of bacon? Wake up in the middle of the night and have bacon? I'll have to live and breathe and die on bacon and eggs. I don't even know what the hell briskets, and I don't know how anybody can do keto. I think there's a 0% chance that I'll survive. I think I will shrivel up into nothing and lose all my gains. And at that point, it's like, why even bother? So I think my buddy, God bless his soul, continues to forget that I like to bitch about my health. Like, I like to bitch about the problems that I'm having. Like, oh my God, I'm having all these blood sugar crashes. And then certain people in my audience rush to try to fix it. And while I appreciate the shit out of everyone who tries to help me, I'm like beyond saving. My wife has finally learned, like, there's no reason even talking to me about most things, because I'm just going to continue doing what I want to do anyway. I just don't give a shit. Maybe one day I'll learn the hard way and I'll care. So there you have it. That's where my levels are. I'm currently taking 200 milligrams of Test C, 200 milligrams of nandrolone decanoate, 140 milligrams of trenbolone acetate, 300 milligrams of Masteron. That's what we're on. I am dropping my MK677 dose down. I'm trying to focus on getting large amounts of proteins and I'm trying to meet my fat goal, which is one of the things that it's like people are talking about go keto. I barely even get a healthy amount of fat in my diet already. I don't like fatty foods. If I'm eating a steak and I get a piece of fat in my mouth, I spit it the fuck out. I was pissed off last night because my wife made New York strips, and like I had several bites in my steak that had fat, like marbling on it. Ugh, disgusting. I want steak. I like chicken and steak that has zero noticeable fat. When we eat ground beef burgers, we eat 93.7 burgers. I hate fucking fat. I like bacon, but I can only eat like a few. Fat makes my stomach feel horrible. I like the way my stomach feels full of Karo syrup. That's a great feeling on my stomach. Fat just makes me want to fall asleep, go to bed. I'm tired, lethargic. I feel terrible on high-fat diet. So it's like, I think it was Lewis Black said that basically all doctors are full of shit. That health is the biggest scam on the planet, because what's keeping this guy healthy will absolutely kill his neighbor. And I think that's the thing. I honestly believe that I cannot make myself diabetic. That's what I believe. I have been eating like this for 43 years and I'm still not diabetic. How long does it take? How long do you have to basically live on a diet of pure dextrose before you become diabetic? People have been threatening me with diabetes since I was 16 years old, just eating gobs and gobs of sugar and candy and drinking sodas like out of control. I've been living on high fructose corn syrup and dextrose for my entire life. So how long does it take? Is it possible, maybe, just maybe, that it doesn't have fuck all really to do with what you eat? It's just your genetics? Like, I'm either going to become diabetic or I'm not. There's plenty of people who are diabetic when you're young. I have some relative who's actually dead now, who was diabetic from birth, I guess, as long as I knew him. He was a young kid. He was on the needle. He was injecting insulin. So I just think that the vast majority of things, like, that's why I don't worry about cholesterol. I think if I'm going to get heart disease, it's in my genes. If I'm going to get diabetes, it's in my genes. If I'm going to get lung cancer, it's in my genes. I just don't really think we have nearly as much control over our health as we think we do. I think that our health is like 99% genetic. The only thing I think you can do, like if you have any control at all, is like if you have a gene for lung cancer and you choose to smoke, then you're gonna get lung cancer. But it's because you have the gene. So if you have the gene for diabetes and you eat a shit ton of candy when you're a kid, you're probably gonna become diabetic. I think the fact that I'm not diabetic now suggests that I'm probably never going to be or won't until I'm very, 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 very far into life. My hair is not falling out. It's staying about as thin as it's been. You can look back through the history of my channel. I'm taking every unsafe hair drug known to man, and my hair is not just falling out all around me. It's just not in my genetics. I think that our entire lives on this planet are scripted. We do not have free will. We do not have the power to make changes. Everything that's happening to you is it's just part of a script, man. God take the wheel, Jesus, whatever you want to believe, you don't have any power to control anything. Everything that's coming to my mouth, I have no idea where it's coming from. This shit is just coming in and going out. I didn't script this. How could I possibly be free to make this video? How could these be my free, independent thoughts when they're coming out as fast as they are with no script? It's impossible. It's impossible that I'm authoring this video. Clearly, this is God-breathed straight from heaven to you people on the internet. Speaking of which, if you want to see the rest of my God-breathed, completely unhinged, out-of-control content, you should sub to the members section for $25. If you do that, you will get uncensored access to my Discord with lots of not safe for work imagery from my wife and I's OF page. So that's included for $25. But nobody's really commenting on those pictures. So if I don't get some love on those pictures, then I'm going to stop posting them. I can't tell if people actually want that content or not. Maybe they're scared to say anything because they're afraid they'll get a video made about them. If people enjoy that content on Discord, please let me know and I'll keep posting it. If you don't want to see it, then I'll take the shit down. But so sign up for the Discord, sign up for the members. If you're not a member, stop signing up for my Discord because you're just getting it banned. The Discord is for members only because I don't want to deal with all of the morons. There are some people who can probably come back to the Discord. I'll let you in because I know you're not a moron. But for the most part, it's going to be members only. I've made a couple of exceptions already, but for the most part, if you're not willing to support the channel, then I'm not wasting my time with you in the Discord. Sign up for Royal Medical Centers if you need TRT, and that's I'm not plugging anything else. So there you have it. As always, thank you for watching. We'll see you on the next one.